Hi, today is April 1st, 2013. You're listening to episode 7 of Virtualized Geeks Tech Talk. This is actually, I was looking forward to doing this tech talk because I get to avoid studying tonight. I'm going for my VCP, VMware Certified Professional, which is VMware's entry level certification. You guys have seen and heard me talk about VMware certification. I've ranted a little bit about how I believe that it's a little bit limiting in that it doesn't allow people with limited means to take the exam. We'll just leave it to that. I encourage you to read my blog post on VMware helping to widen the digital divide. But I've personally decided to take the exam even though I'm in a semi non-technical role. I am a management consultant, an IT management consultant specifically. I get to talk to senior level managers, C-level folks about their IT strategy. This includes virtualization, disaster recovery, uh, generally IT infrastructure things, or IT infrastructure topics. I recently finished up a engagement while I was specifically addressing a patch management issue. So I don't get to get down into the weeds of technology much anymore. It most definitely helps that I have a very strong background in technology. Obviously, after more than a dozen and a half years of IT experience, I have a wealth of knowledge in the bank to go back to and draw to be able to relate my technical experience to the business and driving value through IT. But I don't get to turn knobs much anymore. I was taking a practice test for the VCP, and one of the questions really struck me. It said if you're configuring a vSwitch. For those of you who don't know what a vSwitch is, never mind. It doesn't really matter. If you're configuring a vSwitch and you set a specific configuration, you configure some ports. What do you need to do next? Configure the uplink. And when you're on the screen to configure the uplink, which is the right uh, verbiage to the menu option? Is it to A, you select unused interfaces, B, select unclaimed interfaces, C, something else? I knew that the answer was either A or B. And then I thought to myself, how ridiculous is this that it should even matter? Uh, if I'm in the interface, I'm going to see that unused or unclaimed or whatever the option is in the actual exam. I mean, the actual exam doesn't really mimic real life. This has always been my frustration with non-performance based exams in general. But getting back to the topic of the applicability of technical certifications to non-technical roles. I've struggled with this for the past few years as I've had management positions, architect positions that really take me away from the day-to-day, as one of my managers likes to call it, knob turning, where I get to press the buttons, hit the install button, run cable, all the things that I kind of love doing as being a geek naturally. I don't get to do those things anymore. And the guys at work, when I was in an architect role, used to love to remind me, hey, Keith, you're not really an engineer anymore. You're kind of, one of those guys, one of those white collar guys that really don't need to touch a keyboard. And the pride of me would always resist those statements. Back in the late 90s, I was a certified Noel engineer, a Microsoft Certified Systems Engineer, MCSE, and NT40 before there were paper MCSEs. I had my CCNA. Then I decided to go to school because I wanted to expand my career and potentially go into management. The flip side, the thing that they don't tell you about management is that you can't be a pure geek and be in management and be a successful manager. There's some people who are able to do that. I'm letting you know now. I'm probably not one of those guys. As I'm reading through tonight I have to read through AutoConfig just to know enough detail about vSphere auto deploy. Not AutoConfig, auto deploy, so that I know enough about the details of auto deploy to actually pass the VCP exam. So the question is, what value actually does it have for management types that don't need to get into the actual nitty gritty of not just virtualization technology, but network technologies? If you're looking at the CCNA, CCNP, CCIE, God forbid, or the VCDX, any of these acronyms that they throw at you now for certifications, is there true value in it for non-technical guys? I've gotten to a couple of discussions on LinkedIn about uh, some sales guys that used to be engineers talking about how now they need to rely on sales engineers to get data from, and they kind of, feel a little bit shamed that they no longer know all of the answers. But I'm starting to finally embrace the fact that I'm getting away from needing to know everything. It's pretty tough, hard for an engineer by heart to admit, but I can. I really need to be able to speak to different levels of business. One day I'm interacting with accountants. The next day I might be interacting with marketing. C-level guys really don't want to know the nitty gritty. They just want to know, can I outsource my IT operations to a third party, or can I get rid of my data center and move everything to the cloud? What exactly are the advantages and disadvantages of those things? And knowing what buttons to press on an interface really doesn't buy you that knowledge. What buys you that knowledge is managing projects, understanding the interaction between uh, IT from an operational standpoint in the business, what solutions actually drive value, what's the return on investment on certain solutions. Those are the things as you move through the management ranks that you start to focus on versus just the pure technology. Having the technology background is great. Actually, I'm going to continue to commit to finishing getting my certification. I test Friday. I sit for my first attempt for the VCP on Friday. I don't know if I really expect to pass. If I pass, great. If I don't, I will continue to take the test because the background knowledge is useful. Now, I'm not exactly sure if VMware requires you to recertify or what happens with the next version level. Again, it's been a long time since I've been in a role that really required technical certifications. But I think the value that I'll earn from at least this certification will be worth it, since a lot of the obviously virtualized geek is primarily a cloud computing and virtualization focused website, so that I think adds direct value to you guys, but it also adds value to my customers at the end of the day because my knowledge and technology will be that much deeper. Uh, what does this mean to you guys? If you're pursuing a career in management, you obviously do need to stay pretty fresh technically, but you really need to pick and choose what battles you pick from a technology standpoint. I'm pretty sure I probably won't renew my CCNA once that lapses. I most definitely won't be getting any Microsoft certifications. I'll be doing some high level training using Training Signal for Linux, some Microsoft technologies in general. Obviously, Citrix because that's another heavily virtualization focused solution. But I think this is probably going to be my last technical certification for the foreseeable future. I'd like to know what you guys think. As some of you guys are still in the trenches, I think a lot of you guys that listen to this podcast or read the blog are still in the trenches, staying up at 2 o'clock in the morning, getting that server back up. And some of you guys that start to transition into more architectural roles and into design and eventually management roles. What do you guys think? Have you found that you have one leg pulling you into the technical weeds and another leg kind of pulling you out into the higher level, understanding the big picture. Thanks for listening and watching episode 7 of Geek. I again appreciate all 1 dozen of you guys that watch the videos, or the one person, and I'm talking to you, Lenny, that watches it 12 times. It's still appreciated. Thanks a lot. Talk to you guys next week.